Hey boys and girls, it's Mr. Harris here. So we are going to be talking about our brain a little bit more. So in our last lesson, we looked at this book called When Sophie Gets Angry, Really, Really Angry. And I threw out a big word that's part of our brain. And that part of the brain is called the amygdala. But before we talk about the amygdala, I want to talk about another important part of our brain. It's called the brain stem. So if you watch the first video in for this week, it talks about how your brain can be looked at like a fist because the brain's a very complicated part of our body. So if our brain looks like this, remember that video talked about the upstairs, downstairs, and the mid part of our brain. So our brain stem is the part of the body that goes down the back of our neck. So if you feel your spine, you can feel it. You can't feel your brain stem. You can feel your spine, and it's kind of in your spine, your brain stem, and it travels through your body, down your neck, and it's like the control panel to our body. It sends messages from our brain to the rest of our body. So like if we touch something soft, it lets our brain know that we are touching something soft. It also tells parts of our body to do things without us telling them to do it. Like, for example, our lungs to breathe, our eyes to blink, and our heart to beat. So those are some things that our brainstem does. Now, our amygdala. So if we look at our brain again, our fist. So here's our brain. Here's our brain stem. And if we open our hand, this thing right here, our thumb, is what was going to be the amygdala. So this is what I like to call our alarm system, or our emotions house. So all of our emotions live here. So if you've seen the movie Inside Out, this is where joy, fear, sadness, anger, and disgust live in our brains. All right, so the amygdala's job is to keep our bodies safe, but often does not know the difference between danger or stress. So danger, if we think back to that first video, is if we see a bear in the woods. Okay? I hope none of you will ever see a bear in the woods unless you're in a safe spot, but that's danger, all right, because we don't know what the bear is going to do. But stress is feeling like nothing is going right. Our brother or sister keeps messing with our things, our tower of blocks keeps falling over, or you feel like you have too much to do. So if we look back at this book, When Sophie Gets Angry, Really, Really Angry, she gets stressed in this. Okay? So she gets stressed and angry when her sister takes her gorilla. Because to Sophie, that's not right. Sophie was playing with it. She wasn't ready for her turn with it to be over. So she had three choices that she could have done. With the way she was feeling. So when she was at the point where her volcano was about to explode, she made the choice to fight. She could have flown, or she could have done three things: fight, fight, flight, or freeze. So she chose to fight first. Okay, so she fought with her things. So she knocked things over, she yelled, she fought with her words, and then when she got really, really angry, she did something else. She ran, she flew, she got to that flight mode. So she ran away and hid in the woods, right? All right. So the last one, Sophie doesn't do this, but she freezes. So sometimes if we're so scared or so angry, we can just sit. We don't know what's going on. We are just so angry that we can't move. Okay. So I want to talk about how we can keep those. So we want to talk about how we can not get to that fight, flight, or freeze mode. So I want to keep that alarm in our brain going off. So the way I think about when my amygdala goes off, it's like this blaring alarm going off in my head. All right, so I want to keep this alarm off. I want to keep it calm. I don't want it to go off so I don't make bad choices. Right? So we need to think about when things are not going our way. So if we think back to this story with Sophie, she said no to her sister wanting to take her gorilla. What she could have done here, because if she knew she was going to get angry, She could feel herself getting angry, right? She could have stopped and taken some deep breaths because that's all you have to do sometimes. You just have to take some, sometimes it's one, sometimes it's two, sometimes it's 10 deep breaths, and you can get yourself to calm and relax so you don't get to this fight mode when you want to. What did Sophie do? If we think back, see if we can think of it before I do. She wanted to smash the world to smithereens because her sister took her gorilla. So I want you to be thinking about how you can keep yourself from getting to that fight, flight, or freeze mode where you make some bad choices. So I want to hear those ideas. Your teachers want to hear those ideas of things you can do to keep yourself from getting super, super angry like Sophie does.